Hey YouTubers, today we're going to be removing the 6.5-inch speakers that are on this card. It's a Rav4 2020. We're going to be removing the interior panels to get to those speakers. As you can see, the speakers are mounted with rivets. There are 3 of them holding down the adapter ring, along with the speaker itself that is glued to the adapter ring. So there's really no way other than cutting the speaker out and leaving the adapter ring there so you can mount your speakers to it. So we'll have to drill out the 3 rivets that are there and apply this adapter ring that we found that's going to work. So stay tuned and let's get started. The speaker of choice today is the JBL GTO 629. It has better highs and better mediums than the stock speaker and way better lows. Not like with the subwoofer, but it's an improvement. We also installed the Club 3020 into the dash of the Rav4. The tools you'll be needing for this job are a hammer, a punch tool, a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver, trim removal tool or a flat screwdriver with tape wrap around it, a prying tool, and needle nose pliers that are not being shown here, but you will need them. So let's get started. This is a prying tool. This is what I prefer using. Use the round end and slide it in right there where the door latch handle is, right next to where the lock is on the red side. You can see the panel. Slide it in there and start giving it a little twist and it'll eventually just pop. When it does, that's when you've gotten the little plastic piece out. And no worries, there are no clips that have to be pressed. Pull the latch forward and slide the plastic part out. Now behind the plastic part is a screw. This is one of the main screws that helps keeps the inner door panel attached. You'll have to remove this screw in order to take the panel off. Now looking down at the handle, you're going to have to look underneath this little corner here and you'll see a little notch indented. Take the prying tool with the round end, slide it up in there, and start giving that a little twist. And eventually you'll hear it starting to pop again or break away from the door. When it does, take the tool away and you can take your fingertips and slide them up underneath there and just gently start pulling it out like that. Work your way up the handle and work your way to the back of the handle. And the handle is hooked in the back, so you'll have to slide that out. Now let's remove the power window and door lock panel. Same tool, slide it towards the back giving a gentle twisting motion, and it's going to feel tight because it's never been done before to this panel. So gently just start popping it up, and when it does, you can take your fingers and get the rest of it up. And then the front of that panel has a little hook on it, so you have to pull backwards on it. And out it will come. Now there's a latch connector on the back. There's 2 of them. Take your thumb and press down onto this connector, and that's how you remove them. So there's the one screw that you have to take out, and there are another 2 screws, one right there, and down a little lower in the same line, that one there. And once you do that, you'll be able to take the panel off. Now I prefer to use the plastic trim tool because it does the least amount of intrusive damage to the door. It's easy to slide in between the inner panel and the other door. And it has a little bevel to the back to give you that rocking motion to pop it. Some people like to use a screwdriver for this. Either way, just be careful. Pick a point, start pulling on it, and you'll hear the clips release. Work your way around the door panel until it becomes totally free. Now you have to be careful because there's these little washers that are on the connectors. So make sure you don't lose any of them. So let's lift the panel off the back, but be careful, there are cables attached to the lever and the lock. They just lift up and they pull out because there's a little ball on the end, as indicated right here. That's where the ball goes, the cable slides in there, and then the rest of it pushes down into the track. Okay, so now we're going to drill out the rivets. One thing I like to do is, if you can see at the bottom of the picture, there's a box. That's to catch the filings that are going to come off from the rivet. It makes cleanup a lot easier. So using your drill and holding the needle nose pliers, hold the outside of the rivet while you slowly drill into the rivet. Slow and steady is what I say, and that way you won't break it. Once the rivet starts to move and break free, I like to drill a little further down into the hole. This makes punching them out a little easier. And repeat the process for the other 2 rivets. Now get your punch tool and your hammer, and we're going to punch out the remaining part of the rivet that's still connected to the adapter in the door. So usually I like to use the side of the hammer. Put your punch tool into the rivet and bang it with the side of the hammer. That way you have less chance of missing the punch tool. Okay, now just repeat the process for the other rivets. Be careful that as you collect the bottom of the rivets out of the door, there are rivets that are holding the door together, and it is sharp down there. Now the adapter I used was a Metra adapter that is adaptable from 6" to 6 3/4 inches. I usually like to get my orientation right. That was the bottom part of the ring, and it's across from the opening where we'll be connecting the wire connectors through that. It's just easier. That way you can line the holes up, putting the adapter onto the door. Now the order you should put the screw through is the screw with a washer. Then you slide it in there using then you put a washer, a locking washer, and then a hexel nut, as seen here in the picture. Now the manufacturer has made it easy that when you're using different size speakers, that if the tabs inside the inner ring are in your way, you'll be able just to push them out like tabs. They just pop right off the ring if you want a cleaner look. Now the nut that the manufacturer supplied us wasn't very good. It kept popping as you tightened it up. So I went to the local hardware store and I went to pick up 2 things. The locking washer I mentioned previously, and a hexel nut. So I went to my local hardware store and I picked up these hexel nuts that are 8/32 along with the locking washers that are a number 8. The hexel nuts fits a 9mm socket, which made installation easy. Okay, with the adapter ring connected, let's go ahead and slide our wiring harness connector in. I usually like to separate them, put the small one and then the fat one in. It just makes it easier going through the hole. Once you put the connector through the hole, you can go ahead and connect it through the manufacturer's plug and that female plug that I'm showing you right there. So after talking with car installation people and watching YouTube videos and reading about it, I decided to try my hand at putting some sound dampening or deadening material into the door to see if it would actually help. It's supposed to kick back the bass sound better and stop any rattling that goes on inside the door. So why don't we just give a listen to after I installed it. You can hear the difference in the door to where it's at. So let's go ahead and attach the speaker now. With the wiring to the top of the speaker, I connected the wire harness connector with the roundness of the plugs facing up at me, so I could make sure there was a good solid connection, then sliding the protective cover over it. Now be aware there is a latch that locks into the little hole. As you get ready to attach the speaker, I usually like to take the screw and put it through the hole first so you can see it through the backside, lining it up with the hole on the adapter ring. This makes it a lot easier trying to connect it to the adapter ring. I like to usually do it at the top first and then go to the bottom or make an X pattern with it. Once you've started all the screws, make sure you're good with where it's going to lie and go ahead and just tighten them all up. Usually in an X pattern it's good to torque it down, as they would say. So as I was finishing with the screws on the speaker, I realized that the wire was loose and would probably rattle inside the door. So I took a little of the sound dampening material and stuck it behind it. If one of the connectors just happens to come off, just take the flat end of the plug, slide it into the track towards the outer rim of the liner, and push. You'll hear it pop. That's it. First, when connecting the liner back to the door, you're going to have to connect the lock cable and the latch cable. But if you see where the octagon is, that's a plastic tab that didn't stay on the door. You're going to have to remove that, put it back on the door so you could pop the liner back in. Right where I was pointing. And don't forget about the hooks on the back of that little panel there. Now you have to put the screws back into the door, starting with the one on the bottom, then the one above that, and then the one that's behind the door handle latch. Don't forget the cover has a hook in the back of it that you have to slide onto the door handle, and then you can put the door handle cover back on. When replacing the door power switch and window panel, make sure you slide the hooks in that are in the front of it, and then push down on it. It'll pop right back into place. The last piece you have to put in is the door panel latch cover. Put it in appropriately, just start pressing on it, and it'll pop right back into place. Test all the mechanisms to make sure they work. For installation into the dash, you're going to need your pry tool to slide it in between the grill cover and your dash, start twisting it, and it'll pop up. As soon as it does that, grab it and pull it towards you because there's little hooks right there in the front. Now those are 10 millimeter nuts that you'll need to remove the old speaker and put in your new speaker, and along with the wire harness. And here's what the speaker looks like that you're going to take out of the door. Well, that about ends it all. I hope you enjoyed this little short video on how to do it, and if you do, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, well, you know, thumbs down. I'm just a dad that likes to tinker on the weekends. And if you liked it and you want me to do more, hit the subscribe button. Have a beautiful day.